All right, hey everyone. There's actually just one reason why I'm making this video, and before I get to that, I'm just gonna go over a couple of things. There's a few different tribes per se that kind of exist on this channel, so I'm gonna be kind of talking about each the stuff going on, pertaining to this channel, basically for each tribe. The first one is the investment tribe. I am like huge on helping people to make money. So I talk about stocks and investments a lot because I like to try and help people make like passive income and hopefully climb out of life at some point, maybe have a nice retirement, or be able to live a little more comfortably with passive income. So what's going on in the investment world? I'm going to tell you, you put your money in a bank account, and what do you expect? 1% interest? Less from your local savings bank? There are some high interest accounts out there, maybe 3.5%, maybe 4.0% if you're lucky. That's savings. There's actually one thing that's going on right now that has produced a 33% return just since January 1st, 2026. So in about 19, 20, 21 days, 33% return. In the last year, this has produced a 201% return. So, what does 200% mean? That basically means for every $100, you're going to get like 200 back. Figure 100% return means you're going to get $100 back. 200% return means you're going to get $200 back. So what is your account? $100 is now $300. So $1,000 is now $3,000. $10,000 is now $30,000. $100,000 is now $300,000. I'm going to tell you what investment created this in just a moment. There's another investment that has produced a 10% return this year and 73% for the past 1 year. So 10% since January 1st, 2026, 73% for the last year. What am I talking about? I'm talking about something I have kind of talked about in the past, especially with friends, possibly online through my various social media accounts. But this is precious metals. The first one is one that people have been waiting to run for years, if not decades. There have been people stockpiling this, and they have been waiting and waiting and waiting. The first one is silver. Silver, yes. 1 ounce of silver is now worth $95.13 as of today. It's going to vary up and down. I saw a news article today. Basically, I believe Bank of America called a prediction that during this run, it might hit $170 an ounce. So this is kind of comparable to what we were seeing in the crypto arena around 2020. All the craziness going on. This seems to be comparable to that. Gold is now worth $4,788 as of today, which means it is up 10% since January 1st, 2026. And it's up 73% for the year. So it is metals are going crazy. I'm not gonna comment on why, so feel free to add your own input on why this might be happening. I'd love to hear people's opinions, but 201% beats the stock market by quite a bit. Remember, we consider 10% to be a decent average for the stock market, which beats your 1 to 3% savings accounts. And if you're really lucky in a top stock, you might consistently get around 20% on the stock market. So 201% is just phenomenal. And there potentially could be more upward motion and momentum from there. Do not guarantee, do not count on that. Do not go dumping all your money into silver because I'm telling you that it has now gone up. What is the key to making a lot of money on an investment? You're better off being one of these people that were stockpiling it for years and years and years. Those are the people making out. The run might be over. I'm just pointing it out. Silver is going crazy, and might still be a little bit of a push in there for silver. Gold, I actually have a video on my YouTube channel, within this channel, about gold, preaching the benefits to it. That video might be 1-2 years old at this point, somewhere around there. I'm a big proponent of gold. I call it the real money. Super huge return this year. Whenever we have a huge run like this, you know, it might now go to sleep for 1 to 5, 10, 20 years. Again, you know, values go up and they come down, especially they're kind of bubbling right now. So it might be kind of a seller's market right now, and you know, you might want to be kind of looking elsewhere, you know, for investments, stocks and crypto. I'm not going to advise you on what to do. I'm not a financial advisor, but I am just kind of here to say silver and gold is crazy. And again, there is a really huge point to this video. I haven't gotten to it yet, so you're just gonna have to kind of wait for me to go through another, you know, few topics. So that's what's going on in the investment world. You know, I do have people on this channel that have invested because I do have kind of an investment tutorial on this channel. You know, I have a lot of friends, family, you know, acquaintances that, you know, have kind of gotten into investments, and I've tried to help people out as much as possible. So I love investing. So the whole concept. Am I the greatest? No, but I do like to kind of explain it to people because I did get my start in investing in high school, believe it or not. So I took classes in high school and dipped into it in college and such, and I've just had a personal interest in it, trying to figure it all out, you know, over the years. So it is an interest of mine. Hunting tribe stuff. So again, on this channel, I have people that have subscribed due to investment reasons, hunting reasons, gaming reasons, audio-visual, hunting tribe stuff. A big topic for me this year in regards to hunting is hunter harassment. As I do every year in the course of my hunting, basically through October, November, December, I was both harassed and basically witness to fellow hunters being harassed by the general public. And what a lot of people do not realize is, at the very least across the United States, probably Canada and Mexico, and probably more loosely across the rest of the world, because not every country backs our right to hunt, sort of like North America does. But at least across the United States, hunter harassment is prohibited. You have to understand, or we have to understand, that we as citizens of the United States have basically a right to live, and what is one of the top things we need to live? It is food. And Thankfully we have pretty good traditions in this country where we are not obligated 100% to rely on corporations or the government for food. We kind of recognize that we have like a universal right to feed ourselves, which might be a little different than the way they do it in other parts of the world. Other parts of the world, you might find societies where they don't have rights, or through history, and people eat what they were given to them by, people higher than them. We just here in the United States have like a fundamental right to live and get our own food. And the fact of the matter is, for 97% of human history, we were hunters. That's how we lived. 97% of human history. Agriculture represents about 3% of human history. So hunting is the foundation of human life. And there's actually a very real reason why hunting was necessary. And there's a very specific reason why when agriculture was invented that bovine animals were required to sustain. If you walk out into the woods, I say this a lot to people, you walk out to the woods, at least where I'm from, you look around and you see a whole lot of things that you cannot even think about eating. You see sticks, and you see twigs and bark and pine needles, and you're not going to eat any of it. You're going to find acorns, you might be able to eat that. You might find some limited foliage that you might, that you can eat. But it's generally pretty well accepted in the survival community that the gathering portion, so the hunter-gatherer mentality, the gathering portion, is not going to be really a net positive. So, meaning, you're going to expend more calories gathering than you're going to gain from consuming what you gathered. It's pretty well accepted that gathering is only going to make you days or weeks. And it's not going to really sustain you for months or years. The most beneficial thing that we can do, the most net positive thing we can do, is we can hunt an animal, we get that animal, and we're going to gain more calories than we expended. So hunting is necessary. Furthermore, very limited vitamins and micronutrients are going to be had from the gathering of things that are edible within the woods. You're going to have huge deficiencies like iron and lots of stuff. Probably sodium. I don't know because I'm not an expert in that part of hunting and nutrition. But you could probably ask an AI what vitamins you'd be deficient in. You will be deficient in nutrients and vitamins long term. The deer, the white-tailed deer in particular in North America, is a pretty special animal. The reason being, the white-tailed deer, unlike us, we go into the woods and we see just a bunch of gray dead matter and we can't eat it. Twigs, bark, certain grasses, we can't eat that. The deer can eat everything because it has this kind of a superpower. We have a stomach and it's a single chamber. That's all we got. It's not very efficient to the point where we basically have to cook our food. The better cooked something is, the more efficient we are at processing the nutrients. We cannot eat bark. We cannot eat twigs. We cannot eat sticks. We can't eat a lot of grasses and leaves, pine needles. We can't eat all that stuff. We cannot eat it. However, the white-tailed deer can eat it, and it does process the nutrients from it because they have a 4-chamber stomach. The 4 chambers are basically, it's a superpower, unique to the deer. We don't have it and we never will. That is just the way the world was made. The deer eats the woods around us, and in turn we hunt the deer and we eat the deer, and we gain the nutrients of the woods around us. We can't do it without the deer. When agriculture was invented, again, this represents about 3% of human history. You probably already know what was required. The bovine type of animal. Cows, other animals of that sort, they also have 4 chambers. So again, they're able to take things that we cannot eat it, process nutrients out of it, and then we eat them. You know, so you have cows eating hay, cows eating grass, goats eating grass, you know. That is the way agriculture has become sustainable. There's been a very recent modern trend in the way of vegetarianism and veganism. This is a very modern trend, and it requires modern technology to be sustainable. I'm not gonna be here to debate, you know, whether vegetarianism or veganism is good or bad. That's not what I'm here for. I am just saying it has become sustainable, but due to the advancement of civilization. It kind of lies at the top of a house of cards. I do not think we should forget the foundation. I also do not think veganism or vegetarianism, for that matter, is sustainable without scientific intervention. So it is a highly advanced dietary system, but it does require scientific intervention in the way of fortified foods. And again, you have to have scientific intervention to basically have enough calories generated for it to actually be sustainable, because again, we typically do not get enough calories from basically vegetables or any other non-animal products. So that is why hunting is necessary. As a society, we definitely should not lose our foundation. We should definitely have, you know, the 1 to 3% of people, the population, knowing, you know, what they're doing within hunting, because as a civilization, if we ever have an emergency, we should not forget those traditions. So with that being said, hunter harassment. I had numerous cases of this, you know, this year. This is the general public encountering hunters such as myself or my associates. They're in the middle of the woods. In a lot of cases, they are not wearing orange as they should be. Now, every state in the United States, they seem, from my observation, to do a very good job of putting it out there that during hunting seasons, they want to notify the public of when hunting is happening. And they advise the general public to wear orange. People think that the whole point of wearing orange is so that a hunter looks at that person and thinks to themselves, oh, that's a person because they're wearing orange. And then people's response, typically, I see them talking in their own little private groups online or social media, non-hunters talking, and they say, if a hunter can't tell the difference between a deer and a person not wearing orange, they should not be hunting because they can't go after that person. I am telling you, that is not the reason. It is not the reason. If you are walking, I pretty much promise you that hunter was aware of you well before you walked up on them. They are not going to turn and look at a person 30 yards away from them and mistake them for a deer. That is not the purpose of orange. And that misconception shows how that person doesn't know what they're talking about. The purpose of orange is because a deer walks up 30 yards from you, you aim at the deer, now you can see behind that deer 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 300 yards out. You have no limits to vision. You look out and you can see the horizon. Now the problem is, you look at a deer and you get this person wearing green, brown, natural hues. You're 100 yards out, 200 yards out behind that deer. Guess what? At that kind of distance, if you're not moving, waving your arms, you're just sitting there, now you have an issue. You have an issue because bullets go 100 yards, possibly 200, 300, before they experience any sort of drop. You wear orange, that is blaze orange. You can see that 100, 200, 300 yards out. No problem at all. That is the purpose of orange. So you got these people walking around the woods not wearing orange, and they encounter a hunter. And I'm gonna just say this year there were some issues. We've had issues in the past several years. So you have issues where people yell and scream and ruin your hunt intentionally. Guess what? Yes, we live in modern society. We can go to the store and buy groceries. However, I do know people that do rely on the hunting to stock their freezer for the year. So keep in mind, probably some of the most responsible people that I know, they go to a butcher. They don't go to the grocery store to buy their meat. They go to a butcher and they'll spend $1,200 and buy a whole animal. And they'll stock their freezer for the year. Now they're good. They got all these different cuts. They got the chest freezer. And they are good to go. They don't have to necessarily go grocery shopping for meat every single week. Hunting is the same thing. It's preparedness. People are going out there, they're hunting, they're trying to fill their tags, they're filling their freezer. It's better than the lottery because you're in complete control of your destiny. It's better than the lottery. It's like winning $300. It's like winning $800, $1,200. But you're in control, you're being responsible, and you are feeding yourself, which is a human right, okay? Now, an individual comes up, you have limited time within the year because you're working around seasons, particular seasons, and often, you know, the season you might be hunting is only 2 weeks, and you work 6 days out of the week. So you got 1 day to go hunt. And you've got an individual coming up to you, harassing you, ruining your hunt. It is very well accepted they are interfering with your ability to live. You have a right to eat, and that person is preventing you from your rightful licensed harvest to feed yourself for the year. You can't do it. You can't do it. It's accepted across all of the United States. You can't do it. And commonly, the common thread that I come across time and time again, it's non-education. It's ignorance. It's ignorance. People did not grow up around hunting. They do not know anyone that hunts. They've never hunted themselves. They have no chance of ever hunting themselves because they're not physically able to. They're not educated. They've never done a course on conservation in a college. They've never done a course on conservation provided by the state for free. Here's something if you do not know. All hunters are aware of this. Every state in the United States offers free hunter education courses to the general public. You just sign up and they educate you. They go over all the ifs, ands, whats, and whys, everything. So if you're interested in hunting, I recommend finding out who your wildlife management division is within your state, contacting them and finding out when you can take a hunter education course. Once you do that, you can get your hunting license. hunter education is first and foremost. So when you have these people harassing, it's always ignorance. They don't realize, hey, they're taking food away from you and you have a right to that food. They don't see it that way. They see it as basically, I think a certain way, I'm gonna go to the grocery store and get my cow that I bought from a corporation, and I'm gonna pay the money, and no one can do it anyway but the way I do it. Guess what? 200 years ago, there were no supermarkets. There was no grocery stores. There probably were, but you get the point. You don't have to rely on a corporation to get your food. That's not what it's all about. We have a right to get our food. The people in charge hundreds of years ago got that. Back in the day, the only people that had the right to food was if you were like a lord or royalty. The peasants, they just got the table scraps. They didn't have any rights. They had the right to whatever was given to them. In the United States, and again, a lot of places these days, you know, as civilization advances, life is a lot better than it used to be. But in the United States, we recognize that we are responsible for our own, we're free. We are responsible for our own destination. So, so we have a right to go get that food. We do have to respect, this is North American tradition. Honestly, in my opinion, don't call this a fact, but in my opinion, derived from the Native American practices of sustainability, we do have a responsibility to, you know, abide by the tag limits, and, you know, we have to respect limitations of game, because we do have to respect everyone else's right to their portion of the managed herd. So we can't overhunt, you know, doesn't mean we can go get 100 deer and whatever. In Massachusetts, we get two buck tags. If it's overpopulated, you can purchase more sometimes. Not going to be guaranteed. It's commonly the case because we are overpopulated, but that's hunting. Gaming tribe. I do gaming on my channel, so I'm going to get to that in a moment. And don't forget, I got the whole point of this video coming up shortly. I'm not getting there yet. Before we get to the gaming stuff, one thing that I'm experimenting this year with is you will go back and see some of my videos on this channel. You will see my outfit, my common outfit, which basically includes, you know, boots, camo overalls, jacket, necessary hat, gaiter, neck gaiter, you know, if it gets cold. This year I'm going to be coming back to a thing that I did when I first started hunting, which is kind of like external ghillie attire. Depending on the situation, I may or may not go full ghillie. So basically what I got was, it's basically a ghillie cloak. Okay, so I don't have the pants. The pants used to get caught on all sorts of things, thorns and brush and whatever. However, if I do utilize ghillie at this point, it's going to be in a sack, and I will put it on when I get to stand. I will not be walking around the woods in full ghillie, which is what I used to do, experiment with. And I, believe it or not, when I did wear ghillie attire years ago, I had deer walk pretty much right up across from me 30 yards away, and it knew I was there because it could get my scent, but you could tell it had no idea what was going on. It couldn't see me, and it kind of knew my presence was there, but it was pretty highly effective even though it was early on in my hunting career. So I'm going to go back to that now that I'm a little more, you know, I've been hunting for more years at this point. I'm a little more seasoned. I totally dropped ghillie, but I'm going to go back to it. And the number one reason the ghillie is good, so I got the cloak and then I got a separate mask. Okay, so the cloak has a hood. I'm not going to use the hood. I actually got a full-on mask. Okay. And the mask has a little mesh netting that goes over the eyes, sort of like a mosquito net, but you can see through it. Now I'm going to tell you why that's going to be important this year. Turkey, wild turkey, have really good eyesight, and deer have pretty good eyesight, okay? Turkey have better eyesight than deer. I have learned through conversations with people online that there's a belief that you could be camo from neck down, 100% camo. The deer and the turkey will still know you're there because they are prey in the natural order of the world. We are predators. Our eyes are forward facing. Theirs are not. They're on the side of the head because they have wider view. So they are prey, we are predators. They are hardwired to be looking for eyes. Okay? They're looking for eyes. So you can be camo from the mouth down, have a hat on your head, and your two eyes are still there looking. They can basically consider that they can inherently sense that they're being watched. They feel it. And often they find the eyes. No matter where they are in the woods, they find it. They're looking for your eyes, owl eyes probably, coyote eyes. They're looking for eyes, and they get freaked out. So the big thing with the ghillie suit that I have, the headgear, is that it covers the eyes. So I can see out, you cannot see in. So your eyes are going to be covered. It's going to be like being in a hunting blind. One thing that I have not done in years, I don't know why, I just kind of forgot. It's the whole idea that if you do not have your eyes covered, you do the pattern of camo blackout. They do all sorts of different facial, patterns. The whole idea of those patterns is to break up your eyes, so that you can't tell that they're eyes. So you can like basically do these like stripes, just to break it up so it looks like shadows and not eyes. So that's the big thing I'm working on in the hunting arena this year. Good friend AJ did invite me to an organized squirrel hunt within the next 2 months, within the next month really. So that's going to be interesting. I've done some solo squirrel hunting. I have not had an opportunity to really commit to it and have success and try squirrel, but I'd be willing to try squirrel. Feel free to comment if you would also be willing to try squirrel. The benefit to squirrel is they are super abundant, they reproduce really fast, and if it was ever a situation where societal collapse, you probably want to, be used to relying on squirrel to eat. So I'd be interested in finding some good recipes. I don't know if anyone knows of some good recipes that they could post, because I'm sure under this organized hunt that it's a good chance I'll have some success. It is going to be on a state property, and again, it is organized, and I'm pretty excited. I do not know yet whether I'm going to bring the 22 long rifle or the shotgun, either 12 gauge or 20. I am leaning towards a shotgun because I do not think I'm comfortable shooting a 22 anything but downwards. Squirrels often are up in the trees, so I feel like I'd rather have like some sort of shot similar to bird shot that isn't going to be a danger to anyone. So treat it like a pheasant hunt. I don't know. So that's going to be exciting. I still have to get to the audio visual stuff and the whole reason for this video. So I'm getting closer. Gaming. In the gaming community, I have gamers on this channel that have subscribed because I post gaming videos. People always wonder, if I'm all about hunting and outdoors, why do I want to post videos about gaming, which is like the complete opposite. Sometimes you get someone that's like gaming and you want to get them out of that and get out of the house. Guess what? It's New England. It gets cold. I have always gamed. I was an 80s kid. I grew up with Nintendo, the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I've always gamed, and I always will. And I also think gaming, you know, kind of improves our reflexes and, you know, keeps our mind quick. And if it's been like a year or two since I've gamed, I go into a gaming situation and I'm like, oh my God, everything just seems so fast. I can't even deal with this. But you know what? As you play, your reaction goes up, you know, movement starts to seem slower and more controlled because that's actually really good for your mind. If you look on my channel somewhere, look under some of my playlists, probably my Battlefield 6 playlist. There are eye exercises. They're pretty cool. You look at them on your phone, you look at them on the TV, and it's basically exercises that you want to follow, you know, certain like circles, you know, within the screen. And it's going to do certain things that are going to exercise your eyes, and do that once a week. It's like lifting weights. I will tell you, if you play a game like the next day, or even that day, a couple hours later, you will notice you have great improvement in being able to see certain parts of the game. Your reaction is going to be so much better. It's not going to be so overwhelming. You're not going to have so much blur going on and confusion. You're going to be in a lot more control of the situation. And guess what? That carries over to real life. If you play sports, baseball, watching the ball come at you, playing baseball, hockey, it is going to improve your game. It will. Hunting, it will improve your game. You see pheasant flying, if your eyes are adapted, used to doing these sorts of reactions, you will see an improvement. You will. So that's why I game. Gaming can teach us a lot of things, especially simulations. It's not anything like actually doing what you're going to do, like flight simulators. Great tools. Flight simulators. Not much different, especially with VR. I will tell you, from someone who's done both, real life flying and flight simulators, hard pressed to tell the difference, whether I'm in VR or real life. Life is getting pretty amazing. So that's all I'm going to say. All right. The audio visual tribe. Okay, audio video. So something I'm going to repeat. Some people may know. Some people may not. I actually went to college for video production. In college, you know, I did a handful of short films. I wanted to get into cinema and movie production. I have friends who went on to get into, you know, the Hollywood system and working unions and such. That is something I had a strong interest and desire to do back in my 20s. I did not pursue that, but I have always maintained my love of video. Okay. So this is where we're going to be getting into the whole point of this video. So in college, I always used consumer level cameras provided by my college, or the consumer level, I'm going to throw it out there so you can look it up if you want. Probably no one knows what this camera is, but maybe they do. One of my first cameras was the Canon Optora 20. It was pretty much consumer camera. Basically, I believe I purchased it at Best Buy. That was the camera I made my first short film on. That was a 60i, so that means 60 frames per second. It was interlaced video, as opposed to what they have now, which is progressive. So interlaced was the old tube TV style, where it was like 60 lines all interlaced going back and forth, versus what they have now, which is progressive, which is one solid image. So 60i, 60 frames per second, interlaced, so basically 30, but kind of 60 back and forth. The Optora 20 was my first camera. From there, One of my short films I did on the Canon HV20, which was a 24p consumer camera. So Canon had one of the first 24p, so 24 indicates 24 frames per second. The reason that was a big deal was film, 35mm film and 16mm film, in Hollywood was often shot at 24 frames per second versus broadcast was 60i or 30 frames per second. And Hollywood had a certain look to it for shooting 24. And part of the 24 was that was determined to be a pretty economical frame rate. You know, basically less frames mean less film, okay? But it was still enough to have relatively smooth motion, okay? Not perfectly smooth, but it was determined to be acceptable. So in the video world, film was phenomenally expensive. Film, okay? 35mm film would not be unheard of. $10,000 minimum, up to $100,000 maybe for a film, to shoot film. I mean, it's like one film, I don't remember the exact figures, but you know, you might get 4 minutes or 10 minutes on a reel. I don't remember the exact figures, but that one reel, you know, figure you're gonna spend $2,000 on it just for the film, then like $2,000 to process it, $2,000 to color grade it. You know, next thing you know, it's like $10,000 for like 10 minutes. I might be exaggerating, but I might not be. That was film, okay? So the digital video revolution, okay? When I was in college, you know, figure 2003 to 2004 or 5 years past that, we were in the middle of like the digital video revolution where digital was just the newest thing, and Canon made a camera called the Canon XL2, okay? This was a 24p camera that shot to tape, mini DV. There was also the Panasonic DVX100. I wanted the XL2 so bad, so bad. I wanted it so bad. Yeah, I really, really wanted it. But, you know, at the time it was very expensive. Never, ever, ever got it. So I got the Canon HV20 instead. This was a consumer 24p camera that came out maybe a couple years later. So it was like my Optura 20, but it was 24p. And I actually shot a film on that camera, and I loved it. It's a little intense, you know, but if you actually look on YouTube or my playlists, you might be able to find it. It's called Paper Thin. Paper Thin was shot on 24p. And that was a consumer camera. So the differences between consumer cameras and pro, they are basically, they're going to have smaller image sizes. So for people that don't know, the best example is film, okay? You have 8mm film, which is worse than 16, which is worse than 35. What it pertains to is the size of the frame that the image is being projected on to record. So put it this way, IMAX is like 65 or 70, something like that. So you got 8, which is like consumer, the old Super 8, you know, video home movies. Back when we did shoot film at home, that was 8mm, okay? Horrible. 16mm back in the day was reserved for like a lot of TV shows that might be on a tight budget, or colleges. You know, a lot of colleges taught on 16mm film. So that was 16mm, okay? 35mm was very expensive and was reserved for most Hollywood productions with a decent sized budget. That was really good quality, okay? Because it was bigger frame. Now, IMAX was even bigger than that, like 70mm, say. That was the best quality. Biggest frame, just visually pleasing to the eye. The bigger the frame, the more visually pleasing it is. Okay, so video cameras, they also have sensor sizes where the lens is projecting onto the sensor and creating an image, okay? So a consumer camera is going to have a very small sensor. That's what the HV20 was, okay? The XL2 had a 1/3 inch sensor, okay? So these are completely different sizes than film, and honestly, 1/3, even though was considered prosumer, you know, it was like halfway between professional and consumer. That was still significantly smaller than 35mm, probably close to in line with 8mm, believe it or not. But digital does have a little more clarity than film overall, so you can have an 8mm sized frame on digital and still get a clear image, but the properties remain the same. So so the Canon XL2 was 1/3 inch. In comparison, that was considered prosumer, so that was probably in the 1,000 to 2,000 range. Your broadcast cameras, you know, electronic news gathering, these big monsters, those were like 1/2 inch to 2/3 inch size sensors. All right. Still smaller than 16mm, by the way. All right, so time goes on, time goes on, time goes on. EOS 5D Mark II, made by Canon. It is a DSLR, which is a still camera, comes out during the DSLR video revolution, okay? This is when the camera companies basically come out and say, hey, we're making these digital cameras, digital is catching on over film, and we're realizing they can do video. So the Canon EOS 5D Mark II, it is revolutionary, and I did buy that. And I made a film with it. And if you go on YouTube and type in Last Strands of Man, if you have trouble finding it, maybe add post-apocalyptic short film, you will find the film that I made with that camera. Canon EOS 5D. It was pretty revolutionary because this was a camera sensor that was larger than 35mm motion picture film. Larger than that. So I don't think it was quite IMAX, but maybe close to IMAX. So that was revolutionary because the inherent properties of large frame, it's just absolutely pleasing to the eye. So I did buy that camera, okay? That camera did have limitations. It did shoot 24p. The limitations of still cameras and consumer cameras are in the audio department, okay? They take the 3.5mm little tiny plug. So they're limited to basically consumer microphones. All right. This is going back to like 2012, okay? Around 2017, 2018, my EOS 5D had some issues where it was inoperable. I sold it to a guy, believe it or not, out in Los Angeles who could repair them, and they collect them out there or whatever. They're pretty useful for people in Los Angeles. So I sold it for someone in Los Angeles, broken, and I got enough money for it that I actually bought, so Panasonic, here we go again. They were the DVX100 back in the Canon XL2 days. The Panasonic Lumix, one of the Lumixes, I can't remember which one I have, G85, okay? G80, there's a lot of them, GL2, GH2, whatever, I don't know, G85, Lumix G85. I ended up buying that. This is a mirrorless camera. Mirrorless was basically, it's the new thing. So DSLR is digital, goes into the lens, hits a mirror, goes into the sensor, and then records. Mirrorless removes the mirror. So it goes straight into the lens, directly onto the sensor. That is removing the mirror from the equation, which is less interference. So the theory is possibly clearer picture. Also, the benefit is smaller camera bodies, lighter, because you're removing a whole element. So mirrorless, okay? So the downside to the Lumix, it is micro four thirds, okay? So micro four thirds, we're basically going down on sensor size again. The whole benefit of the EOS 5D is there was this big massive sensor that like had like IMAX quality, okay? Now we're going down. Micro four thirds, much smaller, like a quarter of the size, okay? But with that being said, in retrospect, micro four thirds, even though it has the word micro in there, it is a pretty big sensor because it's 4/3 of an inch, meaning it's bigger than an inch. Remember, broadcast cameras had 1/3 to 1/2 to 2/3 inches. And that was like news quality. All right. So micro four thirds is still pretty decent, but this camera had consumer audio. Okay. As I got back into still photography, I have my Lumix G85 still. Takes good photos, but I missed my EOS 5D Mark II. I missed it. So I bought another one last year or the year before. And I've been having a great time with still photos with that. So I will say the EOS 5D I have done some videos with in the last year. If you look on my channel, I did a King Richard's Fair video, look around. I brought it to some airports, you know, breakfast little thing going on. I took it up in a plane. So I have some videos on my channel. Look for videos up in a plane. That's going to be the EOS 5D. The downside to the EOS 5D, okay, this is not the downside to the Lumix G85 that I have. The EOS 5D does not have image stabilization, okay? That is a problem, all right? I zoom in, you see all my camera shakes, it's not good. And the problem with my filming style is I love handheld. I always have. When I did my films, it was like always I'm like right up in the actors' faces and I'm like walking with them. I just love it. It's the way a lot of my favorite movies are made. If you go to Braveheart, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, you know, if you want to find some great clips of those, just again, browse my front page. I'll show you some spine-tingling moments from movies. Trust me, Robin Hood and Braveheart are in there. They got handheld camera movement. Love it. I don't think I like being strapped down to a tripod unless I'm you know, not able to tend to the camera. You know, then I'm going to put on a tripod. I'd rather have a person. But yeah, so the EOS 5D does not have image stabilization, okay? The Lumix G85 does, okay? It's built right in. So EOS 5D, you can get lenses that have image stabilization, but they are so expensive, so expensive, so expensive, like thousands of dollars to have it built into the lens. The Lumix has the image stabilization built into the camera. So if you have a lens that does not have image stabilization, you enable it on the camera, you lose a little resolution, I believe, but it's got it built right in, okay? So, okay, so we're getting to the whole point of this video. All right. So first and foremost, before I go any further, the Lumix G85, the other benefit is it does 4K video. The EOS 5D does HD, okay? 1080p. I don't really care about 4K. I'm gonna tell you why. Even though 4K is super popular, a lot of organizations, probably like Netflix, if you ever made a movie, they want a 4K delivery. Correct me if I'm wrong, to modern standards. I know at least a few years ago, there were still a lot of companies shooting HD and they would just upscale to 4K, okay? 4K is very difficult to deal with. It eats up so much data, okay? If I have a memory card and I can get 120 minutes of video, yeah, my memory card right now is 126 minutes. If I shoot 4K, that's down to like 30 minutes, okay? Furthermore, I put that on my computer, I'm gonna eat up all my hard drive space. It's ridiculous. For what? It's not going to be that much more beneficial. Really, people don't really care. Keep in mind, Blu-ray is like 1080p still. You know, like people love Blu-ray, you know? So I don't care about 4K so much. Where it is beneficial, okay, you can crop, all right? So if you misframe something, you can get a wider shot and then you can crop without losing quality. You can't do that with 1080p as effectively. So that is the benefit, okay? So that's where I would care about 4K, but continually, I just do not care about 4K, okay? So I'm not gonna invest in it unless I was like really rich. We're trying to get there, okay? Okay, so we're gonna get a little more into this, all right? So the whole point of this video, this camera that you've been watching, remember I said that I had a consumer camera, the Canon Optura 20, and I really wanted the Canon XL2, all right? Remember I said that? I never ended up getting that professional level video camera. I never got it. And I skipped over everything because I ended up going the still camera route that had limitations. It had good image, had a lot of compromises like no video stabilization, no professional audio. All right, so I missed out on that, all right? So I bought myself a Christmas present this year, and it's a camera called the Canon XG200, okay? It is not the XL2, okay? The XL2, again, was a 480p, so standard definition. It's 24p or 60i. It was a 1/3 inch sensor, which was smaller than broadcast, which was 1/2 or 2/3, all right? The Canon XG200, okay? Not really a direct successor to the XL2, but it is an HD video camera, all right? It is basically considered broadcast quality. It's a 1/2 inch sensor, 2.3 basically, you know, so close to 1/2 inch sensor, okay? All right. It's HD versus 480. It has professional audio, okay? It is the first camera I have ever owned that has professional audio inputs. Never, ever, ever, ever owned one before. So all the videos you see of me, it's like onboard microphone, which is like very consumer level, or at the very least, I'm able to plug in an external mic that's not professional, it's consumer, okay? All right. The other benefit to this camera, all right, it has a very good lens, okay? It is advertised as a 20x lens, okay? I want to say in still camera terminology, it's equivalent to probably 30 or 35 millimeters on the wide, okay? So it gets pretty wide, all right? Approximately 600 millimeters on the long end. So not 1,000, but about 600, okay? I will tell you, for air shows, I have really been looking at, for my EOS 5D, a lens called the Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter lens, okay? All right, that has image stabilization built into it. Runs about $1,000 used, okay? So this lens does that better, okay? It goes from 35 to about 600, and it was built into the camera. And I got a great deal on this camera, okay? So the video you are watching me on is my test of this magnificent camera, okay? So, plus side to this camera, has image stabilization built in, okay? The f-stop limitations of the lens are about between, I want to say, f1.4 and 2, okay? So that's another benefit. if I got this lens, that was the Sigma 150 by 600, I might still get it. Don't count it out. You know, one day I might get it. It is a goal of mine. That was like f5.6, okay? So if you're a photography person, you know what that means. If you're a videography person, hopefully you know what that means. But it's much worse. I would rather have the more light coming in. Like on the long end, this is still like an f2, you know? So that's great to me. So the downside to this camera, again, yes, it's a smaller sensor. It's bigger than the Canon XL2, so this camera is like everything I ever dreamed of. I might want to make another film at some point. I'm actually writing a script. You know, if I can do it quick enough, don't count that out for this year or maybe next year. I'd love to get back into filmmaking, potentially. But yeah, so this camera is my test. This whole video is my test. That was the whole point of this video. I'm on this camera. So it's the first video I'm making with this camera. I am thinking about bringing it squirrel hunting. I have not decided if it's going to be a hindrance, if I'm carrying a shotgun or a rifle. I've already been questioned over, like, how am I going to do that? I do have a backpack. That's the great thing about this camera. I got the whole back, I just throw it on my backpack. I'm good. All right. I will be taking it. I am trying to do one of the reenactments for the Battle of Lexington or Battle of Concord. So I'm going to be trying to do that. I will be trying to do an air show, or at the very least go to an airport this year. So doing videos with this. So if you go to some of my videos regarding aviation, you'll notice a lot of shakiness, because when planes are far away, you got to do a lot of zoom. And then when you do a lot of zoom, you get a lot more amplification of the shakiness. So that's where this camera is going to be a godsend. My Sigma 150 to 600 would also have image stabilization, so that would resolve the issue. But you know what? That might never even happen, so I don't know. The professional audio is a big game changer for me. It really, really is. Many years ago, I bought a reporter microphone, okay? And for some reason, I plugged that in, not to a camera, but to like an XLR DAT recorder, and it didn't work. I had no idea. Mind you, I was a video major, not an audio tech or audio major, okay? I did not realize you needed a preamp to make one of those work. These microphones, they're high quality, they're basically mechanical. They don't need a battery, but they do need a preamp, and I didn't know what a preamp was. So I got a preamp, I plugged it into this camera, and now I realize I have this microphone that's like a reporter microphone, and that's a game changer for me, because I can go like interview people, and like, you know, I have basically a video called Archers of Boston. You can look up that on my channel, and you know, I have dialogue from a gentleman that kind of runs the whole league around here for 3D archery, and I'm not like super pleased with how that dialogue came out, because my audio equipment just wasn't great back then. All right. So this would have been a game changer, having this reporter microphone hooked up to a preamp, and the camera has the professional inputs, so you can hear a lot better. Okay. I have a friend, Joe C. Won't say his last name just for privacy's sake. He's a guy that I've known for years and years and years. He actually was present when I was making said Canon HV20 film paper thin. You know, he was present. He went on to go do, you know, some audio education in college, and, you know, moved off and works basically for like Hollywood studios now. He's in like a union. So he basically gave me some tips on, you know, some different microphones. So one microphone I got was a lav mic. And, you can't, I don't know if you can see it, but the whole time I've been talking, I've been basically using this little lav mic. So these are like typically hidden, you know, in your shirt, on your skin, and it's a game changer for me. And you can actually hear me now. So what you do is, I actually ordered 2 of these, and they hook right up to an XLR connection, and they need a little preamp power, 40 volt feed or whatever, and yeah, they're great. I actually do have plans to order like a wireless receiver and transmitter for XLR with the phantom power built in, so I can just put a pack on, and these things you can either wire directly to the camera or you can transmit them wirelessly, and it's so much better. I've had lav mics consumer level, and go figure, probably cost more for these consumer level camera lav mics than the professional mics, but they come out worse because they're like not good quality. They're horrible, like radio transmitters. They're USB powered, horrible. These actually don't require any batteries. They just need phantom power. And you can hear me. And I think this video is coming out great. I'm going to be curious to check. Hopefully I don't do this whole thing and it's not working, but it seems like it's working. So, yeah, so that's that. I also have this Sony boom mic, basically a shotgun mic. I think it's like an electro condenser mic or whatever. It's great. Like, newscasters used it for years, and I actually was looking up a review on YouTube, and the guy said his uncle or father was like a news reporter and used it all the time, and it's just about as good as like anything you can buy. So I actually was asking AI, if I should be getting one of these recommended cinema shotgun mics, if I decide to do short films. And that basically said what I have is actually going to be definitely on par with pretty much anything I can get for like probably $400, $500, $600. Like, honestly, the mic that I have coming, I got a good deal on it. And they basically said that mic is included in $3,000 audio packages. So, I'm golden. I'm expecting it to work out pretty good. That is on the way. These lav mics came today. So the whole purpose of lav mics are for like videos like this, so you can hear me. And that it has no need for any other mic. I was actually considering using the reporter mic for this video, but lo and behold, when I got home today, the lav mic came, so I figured I'd just give it a whirl instead of the reporter mic. So yeah, that's that. And I'm just very excited because this is going to be basically representing an upgrade to my entire channel. Having the ability to get good professional audio. In video production courses in college, they always emphasized that good audio is more important than good video. People will tolerate the worst of video quality. Take the Blair Witch Project, for instance, if the audio is good. Blair Witch Project, horrible old video cameras, equivalent to what I used to use, but they did use professional level audio mics, okay? So audio is more important. What I have been doing, I've been doing decent video quality, all right? Sometimes great, like the EOS 5D, maybe compromised by stabilization issues, but very consumer audio, very consumer audio. And let's face it, a lot of my videos on my channel are actually just my phone. Definitely consumer level, So that is my news, all right? So Audio Video Tribe, look out for great videos with my new camera setup. I'm so far in love with this camera. It's got a pretty cool feature. It actually does night vision, which is kind of cool. And I just see a lot of possibilities. All right, and Investment Tribe. All right, silver, again, about $95 an ounce. Should you buy more? I think it's gonna go to 170. Or should you sell now? Or should you hold if you already own it? Okay, just put some thought. I'd be curious to see what you think. Gold, $47.88. It's doing pretty good. Do you have any other investment Ideas for this coming year, 2026. Remember, we're still at the beginning of the year, meaning we're at basically square one, zero, okay? By the end of the year, don't forget, we're looking at like 10% from the stock market in general, okay? 3% from savings accounts. Usually about 10% from gold. We're already up 10% for gold, okay? So what is that telling us? We're going to keep advancing, or are we in a bubble? Okay. Hunting tribe. What are you doing this year? Do you have any trips planned? Have you ever gone hunting? If you have not gone hunting, would you consider hunting? If you're considering hunting, have you taken your hunter ed course yet? I encourage you to do it. All right. Gaming tribe. What are you playing? I'm playing Battlefield 6 right now. And I probably will for many months to come. What do you think of it if you have been playing Battlefield 6? How does it like hold up to past titles? I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I do think it plays well. All right. Reminds me a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 because the lead on Battlefield 6, who passed away in the last couple of months, I think in the last month or so, I made a little tiny short video about it. He was the lead on Modern Warfare 2, one of the leads, okay? So he developed Battlefield 6. He passed away. Battlefield 6 may be a gem because of that, because whatever comes next, he's not going to be a part of, all right? So Battlefield 6, it plays well. I did not purchase Battlefield 2042 that came out before Battlefield 6. I played it once or twice. I did not like it, did not impress me. I never bought it, okay? So it is a great improvement on that, okay? Battlefield 5? I might say I like Battlefield 6 better than I liked Battlefield 5, okay? Battlefield 5 was a World War II game. Did not remind me of World War II. Reminded me of something else. It's too bright for my liking. It just didn't have clear factions, even though it's supposed to be the Americans, Allies, and Axis. It didn't have that vibe to me. It just didn't feel like World War II to me. It seemed like it was watered down. Battlefield 1, absolute masterpiece. Loved it, okay? Battlefield 1 was awesome, and I think a lot of people agree. I think I like Battlefield 1 better than I like Battlefield 6, all right? Battlefield 4, okay? That is my personal favorite. That game sold me the PlayStation 4, okay? A lot of people thought the Battlefield 4 release was a little rough, full of glitches and whatever, and they didn't like it. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I thought it was awesome, and it continued to be awesome the whole life. I like Battlefield 4 better than I liked Battlefield 6, all right? Going back to PS3 days, and I'm a Sony PlayStation guy. I'm not an Xbox guy. And as far as PC goes, I am a PC guy, but since PlayStation 3 Battlefields, I have not played Battlefield on a computer much. I do have Battlefield 3 on the PC because they were pushing it leading up to Battlefield 6 to get people back into it. Battlefield 3, everyone knows is a great game, and I agree. I did not like Battlefield 3 as much as I like Battlefield 4. I don't know why, it just was a thing, because I liked Bad Company 2 more than I liked Battlefield 3. Okay, so Bad Company 2 I love, possibly more than Battlefield 4, okay? So Bad Company 2 might be the peak for me, and then you get Battlefield 4, which might be the peak. I'm not sure which of the two I liked more, but I played both heavily. Don't forget Battlefield Hardline. That was not super great, but it was fun. Okay, there is a video on my YouTube channel of me playing that from back in the PS4 days. It's like a little couch glitch or whatever, you know. I thought it was like, what the heck? It's just people riding by on a couch. It was whatever. It was an Easter egg. But yeah, Battlefield 6, all right, falls possibly ahead of People are going to really disagree with this, but I think it plays better than Battlefield 3 to an extent, but it's definitely behind Battlefield 4, and it's definitely behind Bad Company 2. Definitely behind Battlefield 1. All right, that's my opinion. So I don't know what you guys' opinions are, and I don't know what you guys are playing, but that's what I'm playing, and I tend to commit So I will be playing this for quite a while. Yeah, it's just a good game to just kind of, chill out on at the end of the day. So anyway, that's it. It's been a pretty long video. Oh my God. Possibly an hour of just me talking. Hey, if you made it this far, comment and let me know. That would be impressive. But it's been real. This was a test of my new video camera, which I hopefully will love forever. It is HD, not 4K. As I said, I do not care about 4K because it takes up way too much data. All right. And this was a test of my new lav mic. I have 2 of them. So if I talk to someone or make a film, and I can have 2 people talking at the same time, record to both channels. And I'll have some more mics, so I'll do some more videos, maybe in February. This is my January video, another January video. Maybe I'll do a February video and try my reporter mic, and do another video in March and try my shotgun mic. So anyway, that is it. And just hit the subscribe button if you are not subscribed, so you can kind of track my progress and keep up to date on things. And comment if you have any input on anything that we talked about today. All right.